My name is Asian Lucas. I'm from Carter County, Kentucky. I am in active recovery. My story started, I had a pretty normal childhood. I lived with my mother until I was about 15 years old, myself and my sister. And then I went to live with my aunt due to my mother's addictions of her own. My aunt gave me a great childhood. She made life as normal as possible for me. But I escaped through doing good in school, learning, doing my best. I graduated high school a year early. I enrolled in college. My senior year, I started hanging out with a different crowd, a different type of crowd. They would do pain pills on occasion and party on the weekends. So I started dabbling in pain pills with them. But before I even realized it or could quit, I was doing them not just on the weekends, but every few days. I would do them, the period between it would become shorter and shorter until I realized I was doing them every day. After a few months, I realized I couldn't quit doing them. I started college. I went for probably about 2 months until I just couldn't do it anymore. I was withdrawing. I couldn't function in class, so I just dropped out completely. By the time I was 18, I was hitting the pill mills in Florida, doctor shopping. I think that's when the drugs dabbling become doing illegal things to get drugs, and that's when I knew I had a serious problem. I had met a guy. We were together for a few years. After that, I ended up getting pregnant. I was still in active addiction, still using all the time. I went to the doctor. I had no prenatal care. I went to the doctor. I was almost 7 months pregnant. The day that I went to the doctor, they said that they were going to take my baby, that she couldn't survive inside of me. So on December 12th, 2011, I gave birth to my daughter. They took her straight away and hooked her up to a bunch of machines. She was withdrawing herself. I didn't even stay in the hospital with her. I left the next day. I signed myself out, and I was off to look for drugs because at the time that was more important to me than being with my newborn. I continued doing that. I visited her a few times while she was in the hospital. She was in there for about 3 months. I continued doing the same old. My family got custody of my daughter. They were good about letting me come around, but I would just come in and out at my convenience, never of any benefit to anybody. I got with this guy, and he was doing a bunch of illegal stuff. And I got arrested a few months after I'd been with him and charged with trafficking. And the guy ran and showed me how much he ran and left me. So I went to jail. He was never to be heard from again. To this day, still haven't heard from him. That was the first time I'd ever went to jail. That was my aha moment at the time. I thought I was going to do great. I was going to be a mom. I was going to get a job. I was in there for probably about 4 months, and then I was released, and I remember it wasn't even a day, 2 days, and I was doing dope again. I couldn't. I wanted to do good, but I couldn't. Over the next couple years, I continued to spiral. I would, go to party houses. I would do horrible things. I lost myself, a sense of who I was. I just did horrible things to feed into my addiction. I would get up every day like it was my job, get up, get ready, and go to stores and rob them blind to trade or sell for dope. And eventually that caught up with me. I caught a felony charge out of a different state, and I went to jail. The judge wanted to see something in me. He let me out. I ran from treatment. He put me on probation. I failed multiple screens, and finally he had had enough of me. He put me in prison and told me that I wasn't dying on his watch. I went to treatment after being in jail for about 4 months. He made me wait a while before he let me out that last time. And he chose this facility I went to. he sent me to a place that, he went to church where the girls were there all the time from that particular center, and he wanted me to do good like he seen them doing good. So I went to treatment. There, I think it's because I had all that time in jail beforehand, is when I seen life for the first time. Like, I remember looking up at the leaves and seeing how green they were and how beautiful the sky was, and I'd never noticed that before. So I felt love for the first time there from people in the community, and that's where I decided that I was going to change my life really this time. By that time, my daughter was 3.5. She would come and visit me. My family was great about helping us reconnect, and something happened. I stayed and I completed that treatment facility. I went back home. I went to court. They dropped all the charges. They said that I had changed. I walked out a 2-year probation whenever I got home with flying colors. I've never been able to do that. They gave me my license back. I had a good job. And then after probably about 4 years ago, I was offered a job with the same program I went through. I've continued to work there. I've continued different positions in that company, and I love what I do. Today, I get to go inside the courtroom and help people behind bars and give them a chance at life and love and opportunity with treatment. The message that I would send to anybody that is seeking help or even thinking about it is that there is hope. People do care. People do love you, will love you. Life doesn't have to be this way, and to never give up.